Okay, well, we're at time to start. We still have people coming in, but I know we've also started the live stream, so we want people at home, so to speak, to know that we are in fact moving ahead. I'm Sean O'Connor. I'm the faculty director of C-IP2, Center for Intellectual Property by Innovation Policy, and we're just thrilled to start coming back in person. We're very pleased that many of you are joining us in person. Of course, we're equally pleased for everyone joining us from remote locations too. But this is kind of what we all have to do. We have to start getting back in rooms where we can. There is something to be said for face-to-face, and so we're just thrilled to get this going again. We had our biopharma roundtable just a couple of weeks ago, and that was in person as well. And so we're looking forward to doing more of these events in person again. So this morning, we're starting off our 5G event. And I just want to say that we're thrilled about the fact that we have a book that I think many of you know about. You're contributing chapters to it. So a book will come out of the conference proceedings from today and tomorrow. And so a lot of the people you'll be hearing from are the contributors to the book, and they'll be talking about the topics that they're writing on. And this is a chance for them to get feedback on those topics and ideas so that then as they move towards their final chapters, that we can have a great book that comes out of it. Now I want to turn it over to Jonathan Barnett, who's the Torrey Webb Professor at University of Southern California. That's his primary gig, but we are thrilled that he works with us as our Senior Fellow for High-Tech Innovation. And so part of the construct of the new C-IP2 is that we have senior fellows leading our substantive areas so that we can have top-notch leaders in the different spaces. And I think all of you know Professor Barnett and his reputation, his recent book that came out, a fantastic book, everyone's reading it. And so he runs our high-tech programs, helps keep us focused. And so with that, I'm going to turn over to him to talk more specifically about the book project, the theme of the conference, and where we're going with all this. Jonathan?
Well, thanks very much, Sean, and thanks very much to the C-IP2 team. We have been, what you're going to be participating in today and tomorrow is the fruit of a lot of internal thinking about how can we make an impact on the next big thing. And we firmly believe, and I don't think this is, we're going out on a limb here, that the Internet of Things is the next big thing. It's hard to foresee exactly in which direction or directions it's going to go, but it's going to be transformative. And as we're moving along that technology frontier, the contribution we would like to make as academics, and as many of you are former practitioners or policymakers, is to bring to the policymaking process research that is firmly grounded in economics and in evidence. Why is that important? Why is that something new? It shouldn't be something new. But since roughly the mid-2000s, innovation policy in this country, especially in the antitrust and the intellectual property areas, with some important exceptions, have not followed this basic principle of sound research and policy making. Instead, it has often been based on anecdote and rhetoric that has happened to match up with private interests whose interests are not necessarily aligned with the interests of society as a whole. What is the interest of society as a whole in the innovation economy? It's to incentivize innovation, and it's to enable the market to price out innovation resources. That's how we get efficient allocation. We already know that this works in the tangible markets, and it's going to work in the intangible markets as well. And what we'll be doing together today is exploring critically different ideas of how to establish a sound policy-making framework which encompasses and welcomes a wide range of views on exactly how to do that. But it is firmly grounded in a common belief that whichever policy direction you go in, it has to be defended on the basis of economic theory, and it has to be demonstrated by evidence. If you cannot meet that test, that is not sound policy. What we're also trying to do here is not to keep research in the ivory tower. We want to have a tangible impact on policy making. And for that reason, we have coupled this conference with a book. We don't want the conference just to stay here in this conference physically and virtually. We want to convert this knowledge into a book. And we've also chosen a book format that is both rigorous, but it is accessible. We want ideas that can be used, and we want ideas that can be that can be understood and put into action by policymakers. And for that reason, our contributors that you'll see today, both our in-live audience and our virtual audience, are not just drawn from academia. They're drawn both from academia, but from individuals who also have deep industry and policy-making experience. Bringing people from different professional backgrounds together is important, so that we don't fall into an echo chamber or a groupthink type of effect. It keeps us on our toes and makes sure that the ideas that we're transmitting to policymakers have been well tested. I'm really excited to hear everyone's ideas that they'll be presenting today and tomorrow. We have a variety of panels. But they all centered around questions of innovation policy encompassing both IP and antitrust competition policy issues. And so I'd like to welcome everyone here today, both our in-live audience and our virtual audience, and of course, thank our speakers very much for traveling here today and for the contributions you'll be making both for the event and for the book. So thank you very much. Without further ado, I will pass the mic over to Joshua Kresh, who will have some additional remarks. Thank you.